So I made a video talking about how I use silicone poppets and ice trays as paint palettes because they're easy to clean. And in that same video, I talked about adding a glass paint palette to my collection because sometimes I just want a big flat surface to mix paint on that's easy to clean. So a little update on that. Some people saw that I was struggling with the razor to clean the paint palette, and they pointed out that I should definitely have soaked it in like water or some sort of acetone. I didn't have acetone, but I did have glass cleaner, which felt on brand, and it worked. So I put some paper towel down, sprayed it with glass cleaner, let that kind of simmer on top for a while, and the paint scraped off like butter. So thank you to everyone that commented that. But this situation and showing you guys some of the more unconventional things I use in my studio as someone who paints every single day kind of got me thinking. There are some pretty weird tools I reach for pretty often, and as someone that is chronically online, I don't see them talked about that much in online art spaces, so I'll bring them up. Before I get into my list, consider liking and subscribing. Me and my audience have a lot of fun painting, and as you can kind of see, I'm trying to find my niche with long form content, so we'll see how this one fares. And last little caveat for context going into this, I am a painter who primarily uses acrylic paint, so a lot of these tools might be specific to that. But yeah, first up we have a laboratory bottle mixer. I know some of your minds immediately went to other places, but this is a trick I picked up not in a laboratory but from Nailtex. You can learn a lot about painting from Nailtex. I keep saying it. This amazing little machine shakes like a motherfucker, and it vibrates those paints that just don't want to mix. We all have that one. Next up we got specialty paint brushes. Sometimes having the right brush, it just makes the job so much easier. It feels like a bougie purchase, but it's worth it. My entire brand is painting tiny things, so I have a bunch of these miniature painting brushes. And I'm not saying they're miniature paint brushes because they have fine tips. They are brushes used to paint miniatures. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, we got these massive fucks. The extra large one is to apply varnish in super even coats so you don't get brush strokes in your shine. And then some of these are just like cheapo chuck brushes that you would use for house painting. Don't be that person painting an entire canvas in 17 coats with a brush the size of your pinky nail. It's not worth it. Next, we got circle makers. Everyone and their mother knows to have a ruler, a yardstick, a straight edge in the studio. And then they need to make a perfect circle, and suddenly you're in the back of your cabinet digging up cups you haven't seen in 20 years, trying to get that one that's the perfect size. So instead of struggling, I bought these two little stencils, and they get a lot of use. It's a little late for Halloween, or early, depending when you're watching this, but next up we got liquid latex. I bought this from Spirit Halloween like 6 years ago, and it makes the perfect masking fluid. If you don't know, masking fluid's an alternative to like painter's tape. You can brush it on, paint over it, it protects everything under the masking fluid, and then you just peel it off. This is the same stuff, I'm pretty sure. Just like 10 times cheaper a lot of the time because these art companies kind of hate us. Pro tip, if you're struggling to get it off, use an eraser. Next up, this one's a little weird and kind of very specific to some things I've done in the past. We got magnets. If you've ever wanted to put a 3D element onto a painting, 9 times out of 10 the answer, magnets. It's great. You can put a 3D element on a painting without really having to commit. You can kind of experiment with where you want to put it. And if you ever want to ship your art, being able to take off the 3D element makes it so much easier. Next up, we have a Studio Must clamps. Similar to paintbrushes, I have them in all sizes. We got big, we got tiny, we got weird ones. You'll never know when you need a clamp for a project until you're desperately holding a project together with one hand while you look for a clamp. So it's best to have them on hand. And if you're wondering, the 90-degree angle ones I use to make my own picture frames because I'm handy and cheap, but we'll lean into the first one. And before you ask, I don't know where the big ones came from. I stole them from my parents. I know they're wildly expensive, but I use them a lot, so like don't tell them. But I am serious. Get these. You will not thank me. You'll thank yourself. Yes, that is motivation from someone named Tired and Pissed. Next up, we have a hair blow dryer. This one has seen some better days. There are people out there that think acrylic paint dries way too quickly. I sometimes find myself waiting for it to dry, and this is my solution. I use a hair blow dryer. I will say with this one, you do have to kind of be careful. Some paint, instead of like drying really nice, will actually bubble up and like cook itself. It's really not cute. Don't ask me how I know. So use it, but use it intelligently. In the same vein, I've had people ask me if they could use a heat gun. I wouldn't. Next up, we have my projector. A lot of the time, if I'm doing a very complicated painting, my process starts on my iPad. I do my initial preliminary sketches on there because you can do like the digital composition and move it around a lot easier. And bonus points when you're done, you can just screen share to a projector, point it at your canvas, and boom, you just saved yourself 3 hours of that finger's not in the right place and why is that eye over there? This next one's fun. I used to use glow-in-the-dark pigment, which I would have to mix into a mixing medium myself, and I just never got the recipe right. Sometimes it looked like sand and it didn't always glow, so I found this UV reactive paint, which don't expect me to explain the science, I have a degree in painting. But when I shine this special light on it, it glows, which has led to some interesting discoveries and secrets in some of my Halloween paintings. And I feel like this is probably safer than when I was breathing in the mystery glow-in-the-dark powder I got on Amazon. It probably took a few years off my lifespan. This next one is very specific to acrylic painters, but this is kind of a personal gripe I have. This is an isolation coat, which I'm going to get kind of jargony real quick. If you use acrylic paint before you apply a coat of varnish, you apply a coat of isolation coat because it is a release agent that allows the varnish to actually be removed from your painting in the future. Oil paint and varnishes used for oil paint are made of different things so they can be separated. Acrylic paint and acrylic varnish are made of the same thing, so in the future if someone goes to remove that varnish, they won't be able to unless there's a release agent between the painting underneath and the varnish on top. Because remember, you apply varnish so that it can be removed. It's supposed to be temporary. It's what collects dust, it's what yellows, it gets gross, all so that it can successfully protect the painting underneath. But that means about jack shit if you can't actually remove the varnish. So when you're dead and your art is really famous, make a future restoration team's life a lot easier. Apply the isolation coat. And then last but not least, we have one of my favorite recent tricks I've discovered, using a gel pen to do the preliminary sketches for a painting. In the past, I've talked about how using a pencil under your paintings really isn't a very good move, because as you're painting, that graphite will get picked up by your paint and make it gray and gross looking. You can apply a top coat to alleviate the problem, but that's like a weird extra step. So for a very long time, I've used acrylic paint pens to sketch because that's not going to get picked up when it's fully dry. But I recently discovered, and I don't know if it's just like this brand, so I will actually be showing the brand for this one thing. When I sketch things with this white gel pen, it shows up well over a variety of different colors, it works pretty well on canvas material, and the best part is, it is water soluble, so with a damp finger you can just wipe it away. It's magical, and I'm pretty comfortable with sketching with paint, but it's not always the easiest thing to do, so if you struggle with graphite getting into your paint, maybe this will help. But that was my list. If you use any unconventional things in your artistic practice, please comment them. I love collecting little stupid tricks that make my life so much easier. Actually, I kind of feel like that's most of what developing your creative process is. But yeah, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. You have a better attention span than like 99% of the world at this point. And again, consider dropping a like and subscribing. Probably have enough weird things in my studio to do a part 2 for this video right now. And maybe I can do a video reacting to the unconventional things you guys comment. But yeah, have a good one.